So this class today is all about finding and recruiting new advocates. We're going to focus a lot more on where to find and how to find new advocates than the actual process of inviting them. But we are going to talk about that a bit as well. So, okay, I'll introduce myself. So my name is Heather. I work on the Influitive support team. I believe I've spoken to most, if not all of you. So that's good. So nice to speak to you all again today. I put this class together with a bunch of people from our team, so you guys may know Shannon, Nadia, Sydney, and then Truman from the marketing team. Oh, I'm just going to hold on one second because I see someone's isn't able to hear just yet. Sorry. Okay, everyone's back. Okay, so yeah, we put together this class so that we can, again, share some of our Influitive best practices with you guys. Some of this stuff you may have taken into consideration when you were inviting sort of your first batch of advocates, but it definitely applies to people inviting their first group of advocates, also people who want to sort of have a sustained program of inviting advocates on a regular basis. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing we're going to talk about, this is sort of an agenda of what we're going to be covering. We're going to be talking about how to engage your whole team across the company to get involved in helping you find those good people to join your advocate program. That's really sort of the bread and butter of our conversation, is talking about who you can engage on your team and how they can help you. Then we're going to talk about how to manage that process, and then we'll share some other tips for how to find advocates, and then we'll talk about inviting them. So to ask questions, you can definitely tweet us using the hashtag Influitive, or you can just use the little chat interface right here, whatever works best for you. Okay, so we're just going to dive right in. So one thing that's really, really important in helping you make the AdvocateHub and your advocate marketing program really successful is team-wide buy-in. It's really something that we stress here at Influitive, and when I was talking with the team putting together this presentation, it was the one thing they kept emphasizing over and over, is that it's really important to have buy-in team-wide, and that all of these different people can help you in some way to find new people to participate. Really the best way to get that to happen, to get their participation, to get their sign-on, is to position your program in a way that shows how it will impact their team. So if you're talking to the sales team, you really need to emphasize, what does advocate marketing do for them? So you can talk about, reference calls. You can talk about just increased engagement, better referrals, more higher quality leads. So as long as you can really position the benefits of this program to them, then that's going to help you get buy-in, and that's going to help you get their help in recruiting new advocates to join the program. And it's really important to have, sort of a constant stream of new advocates coming in, because you always want sort of fresh eyes and fresh participants. You don't want the program to become old and stale, and you don't want to exhaust the people that you already have in the program. So it's always good to have, new recruits, as you might say. Okay, so we're just going to basically go through the different teams that you can talk to. These sort of buckets or departments that we've outlined might not necessarily align to your organizational structure, but that's okay. Just sort of pick what you can from these tips. These are sort of a general guideline, and for you to apply as you may or as you feel fit. Okay, so your executive team, maybe not someone you always want to be sort of hassling to give you a hand with this, that, or the other thing. Sometimes they tend to be a little bit removed from what everyone else is doing. Sometimes they're not, and that's also awesome. So your executive team can help you in a couple of ways. First of all, they have access to partners and board members, high-level influencers, even high-level executives at other companies. And if you can really show them how great your program is, they're a great team of people to get high-level advocates for. So these advocates might be a little bit different than a lot of other advocates. Typically, E-team or EC level advocates aren't necessarily going to be, aren't always interested, or we found aren't always interested in participating in something like a social share challenge or comment on this blog post. Sometimes they are, but more often they're looking for sort of a high impact challenge. So serving on a reference call, making some great referrals, participating in like a really high value case study. So these there are sort of less of these types of advocates, but they're really, really valuable. And going through your executive team and asking them to think about and try to identify these people is a really great way to get your e-team to suggest you some new advocates, especially with partners. We have a lot of customers who have special partner segments in their AdvocateHub, and they just pump out referrals. It's a good way to keep everyone engaged, and especially for board members to make them, sometimes board members, depending if your company has board members, can be a little bit removed from the company. This is a great way to get them engaged and participating and make them feel sort of like they're a part of what's going on with the company. So that's, your executive team can help you reach out to all those types of people. The next group we have here are the sales team or maybe your CRM manager. So that would be something like Salesforce or whatever program you would use to manage your relationships, whatever you would use to manage sort of referrals. Sometimes I know you guys have like an in-house system or there's other companies. So if you have Salesforce, if that's what you work with, our latest Salesforce App Exchange package offers this new thing. It's a nominate button. So it will allow your salespeople to nominate contacts to your nominees list in the AdvocateHub. So if they have a contact they have a relationship with, they think, hey, I really want this person to participate in this program, it's as easy as just pressing that nominate button, and that gets them into the nominees list. So they can nominate existing contacts. Oh, Mary just had a question. Great question, Mary. If nominated from Salesforce, will we be able to see that the person's name came in from a sales rep? Not yet. That's the answer. Is right now we're working on adding that as the next feature, and that should be coming out within the next few months, but unfortunately that's not set up yet. So if someone is nominating someone to the AdvocateHub from Salesforce, you might want to have a system set up where they just flip you a quick email to say, hey, I nominated this person, so that you can be aware of that, because it's not going to show you in the nominees list that, yes, this person was nominated through Salesforce. Now, depending on what your nominees list looks like, for some of you it's just jam-packed. For some of you it's only a few people, so maybe you could even look it up in your CRM yourself. There's sort of different ways of managing that, but yeah, we're certainly aware that that is a best case scenario to be able to identify right from that list that this person came from a Salesforce nomination, and that's something we definitely are going to be putting into the product. So beyond just people who are contacts, expand the reach beyond that. Your sales team could recommend or nominate prospects who maybe really bought into your concept, loved your product, but the company they were working with, whatever their solution was required, that just didn't quite work out. Often you can still have a great relationship with a prospect who became a lost opportunity, and you certainly do want to include those people because they might sometimes be your strongest advocates. So, people would say, I wanted to buy this product, it didn't work for me, but hey, I still love the solution, or hey, I love working with their team. So your sales team can definitely help you get to those people. And the last thing I have on this list is individuals with high NPS scores. NPS can be listed in the Salesforce depending on your configuration, and you can import people from Salesforce simply based on their NPS. And then even if, let's say, your marketing team is running some sort of NPS campaign, you can also pull from those results to invite high NPS scorers into your program as well. So that leads us right into the marketing team. The marketing team is someone that you definitely want on your side. You are an advocate marketer, so you probably are on the marketing team. So you might be aware of some of these things, but there's lots of great resources that the marketing team has access to. Anything from customers that spoke at past events, other customers you have relationships to, something as simple as newsletter and blog subscribers. So people who are just, interested in being aware of what your company is up to, you definitely want to look at reaching out to those people and saying, I know you're following my blog, I know you're commenting on my blog, how involved, would you like to be more involved in what our company is all about? Another big thing is working your advocate marketing program right into the content calendar. So this is a great suggestion we got from Truman on the marketing team, is that if you are blogging about existing advocates, if you're blogging about successes that come out of your advocate program, you can promote the advocate program and source new advocates in that way. So what we do with Influitive VIP is we'll promote the program in different places, and we'll have a call to action like, hey, are you interested? Sign up and join here. that might take someone to a landing page, and then they can sign up to the program from there, and they'll be put into a special group, a prospects group. So they're not like full-on advocates. We're not totally sure who they are, but they saw our content somewhere, they were interested, they self-selected, they clicked on what would be a join code that would put them in this special group, and that group would be for nurtured advocates. So you would serve them up sort of low ball, soft, easier challenges, and then based on their response, you would move those people into the full-on advocates or customers, or the full-on advocates group. And then maybe one day they'll become customers too. So in that position, you're not looking just for advocates who are customers, but you're also looking for people who just believe in your concept, believe in your solution. And you certainly don't want to limit who you allow to participate. You want to, I mean, even if you only ever invite customers, it's good to think creatively about who you might want to invite in the future. And then sort of on the same theme as your marketing team, you have your social management team. So these are people, you know, your social management team, this might just be one person on your marketing team, but they're interested in who are the social influencers, who's on Twitter, who is talking about, who's writing reviews, who is a big person in your space in terms of marketing, and who has a strong voice out there. Even just people who are talking about you online, whether it's little Twitter conversations or simple things like that. Just people who share your articles, who share opinions. You want to know who those people are. If they're talking about your company, you want to know that you're interested in them. And so by connecting with your social management team, they can hook you up with people, and they can recommend these people to you for you to invite into the program. One thing that we sometimes recommend is that you don't even restrict your program invitations to someone that you know loves your program or loves your product or your company or what you do. Sometimes it's a great win and a great story if you can reach out to someone who's had a bad experience with you and invite them into the program and say, hey, you know, we're sorry for this bad experience, but we want to show, like, this is how we really treat our customers, and this is how we really show our appreciation. You should come and participate in the program. You know, we'll teach you some of our practices. We'll give you some rewards. You know, this is what we do for our best customers, and we would like you to become one of those types of people. So that's sort of an out-of the way of doing it. Maybe it's a little, some people might consider a bit risky to invite someone who maybe has had a bad experience with your company, but just because someone has a bad experience doesn't even necessarily mean that they dislike the company or product. It might just be, oh, they had one sort of publicly bad experience, and maybe they just need a little bit of extra love. And speaking of people who have good and bad experiences and get customer love, your support team. They are a great resource for you to find people to join your advocate program. So different for every support team, but here at Influitive on our support team, when we resolve a ticket or like a customer issue, we give the option for them to fill out a survey and just leave like a little review. It could just be a happy face. They could write a review. Your support team is going to have access to that kind of stuff, and they really are in some ways the front line of your company. So often those are the people that are talking to your customers. Those are talking to your customers, especially in the most vulnerable position. So when someone is reaching out with a question, needs some help, your customer support team is helping those people, and a lot of times they are able to build a relationship with them. So you want to really capitalize on that. And it is nice to give this as an offering to your support team. Hey, you know, did you have a great experience with someone? Invite them to this program, and then maybe that will help build the relationship even further. So I mean, you can tell what we're really emphasizing here, building this advocate recruitment into your entire team's approach to working with your customers. So, you know, you might have people who aren't like the most loving or effusive customers, simply people who are interested in participating. Maybe you have someone who's constantly emailing your team with feature requests. Invite them to the AdvocateHub. Maybe they want to be able to participate and give their feedback in other ways. I mean, with your customer support team, most of the time, the people that are reaching out to them are the people who are going to go the extra mile, the people who saw a problem and actually took time to reach out, get support, and call on to your team. That's a statement about what they're willing to do and their willingness to participate, and you want to make sure that you take note of that. And then on that note, your customer success team. So at Influitive, the customer success team is the team that does onboarding. So they onboard our customers and help our customers manage costs as they grow. So you can definitely reach out to these people. And what we do on the Influitive Customer Success team is we get our customer success team to integrate AdvocateHub activities in the onboarding process. So you've all been, or most of you have been through the onboarding process. And through that, you go into VIP and you do some challenges and you participate in some different activities. What we usually see is that the people who are the newest to the company are sometimes the most excited about your solution and the most excited about, being with you. So, it's the beginning. You want to make sure that you really get them to join the program in the beginning because they're already happy. They're already learning to see, excited to learn more about what your company does. And you really want to show to them, we are customer-centric. That right from the get-go, we're looking for your feedback. We're valuing your participation. So by working with the customer success team to get them to, even if they're just showcasing AdvocateHub, onboarding doesn't need to necessarily require that they join the AdvocateHub, but it could simply talk about it. It could be as simple as a slide, hey, we have this program. If you're interested in joining, you can sign up. And then you can even ask the CS team to nominate new customers, or let's say you have an existing customer that you're working with and they get a new employee and now you're with that person. It's always great to invite these people into the program because they have often a good working relationship with your team. So by talking to customer success, you can identify these people, have them invited into the program. So now that we've talked about, and that was a bit quick, so I apologize if that was a bit much, internal nominations. That's what we've been talking about. Where come these internal nominations from? So the natural next question is, what do we do when we have these internal nominations? So there's a couple different ways that we recommend that you do this. The first thing that you do, and this only works if you have your employees also sign up for your AdvocateHub. If you do, then just a quick solution is to create a challenge in your AdvocateHub and target it to your employees, asking them to nominate a new person to become a part of the program. This is awesome because A, it uses your existing application, so already your employees are aware of how great it is. And that way you can reward the employees right away. So it gets a bit of a competition. So, they can nominate someone, they get points. The more people they nominate, the more points they get. So that works really well if you have your employees sign up into your AdvocateHub. Another thing that you could do is just have your team email you with the name and email of each nominee. That's pretty simple. You don't necessarily want to be bogging down your inbox with that type of stuff. You could, for example, set up a unique email address for this purpose, and then the example I have here is advocatehub@me.com. And you could just ask your team to email you at that email address with the contact information of people that they would like you to send an invitation to. One thing to keep in mind with these internal nominations is to be consistent. Just because if you're constantly changing your process, it might get confusing and then people are going to maybe not participate. So that's a really good way to get people to continually participate is simply to be consistent in the approach. So if it's email here, then try to always keep it that same way. If you always just email the name and email of the nominee to that email address, then that's what you'll do. Another thing that we have seen work quite well is setting up a Google form. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like in a second. But if you just set up a Google form, asks a few questions, then if someone from the team wants to nominate a person to participate in the AdvocateHub, then they can simply fill out the form, and then that will send you the information, and then you could just easy peasy just that person like that. Of course, that requires you to manually invite the person, so that's not the easiest way to do it. One way that we've also seen work well is having an internal competition with groups per team. So let's say basically what you would do with this approach is you would create a group for perhaps each person on your team or each sort of smaller group within your team, so let's say for sales or marketing or customer success, and each group within the AdvocateHub would get their own join code. And then you could say to your team, hey, marketing, here's your join code for people that you want to nominate to the program. If you want them to join, send them this join code, and then which is just a URL, and they'll be able to join from there. And that really takes the off you. I mean, you do it in two ways. Then you don't have, as administrator, control over who gets invited into the program. but then you're also not having to invite people constantly. So then you can check the groups, and then you can see which group has the most advocates, and you can reward or points and stuff like that based on that. So we've seen success with some groups or some companies running a recruitment competition internally and using this group method has been pretty effective. Another thing that we haven't seen tried out too much, but we think would be successful, is if you had just, let's say you said, the last Tuesday of every month, if you're going to nominate someone, you need to nominate them by that day. That way it's not this sort of like outstanding, oh, just invite people whenever you want. If there's a little more structure to it, then you might get some better response from your team with respect to them actually finding someone to nominate, getting the information, sending it to you. And keep in mind, you are asking these people to do something outside of their regular day for you. So you want to make the process sort of as easy to follow as possible. Another idea would be to have like a one-day a month where you're having like an internal Celebrate Advocates Day. So let's say that day maybe you send out like an AdvocateHub newsletter internally where you're sort of highlighting the work that some of your advocates have been doing and really trying to show the value of the program. And then maybe have that day be the day when everyone must nominate someone. And that sort of would tie into keeping momentum going for your team and making sure that everyone is aware of your AdvocateHub and your advocate marketing program and the value that it's bringing, but also aware of how to participate. Okay, so this is going to show you, this is what a group with the join code, so the competition I was showing you before, this is what it would look like if you were setting it up in the AdvocateHub itself. So you would just give it like the name, marketing team, recruitment, this is just an example, a little description, and then your a code, and this would be the join code. So the code would be, whatever, like let's say Influitive or vip.influitive.com/join/marketing or /sales/ whatever, and that will be the URL that your team gives out to invite people. The other thing is the Google form. So I'm going to share these slides with you all after the call. So if this is a lot of content, don't worry, you're going to get a copy of it yourself. But so this is an example of a form where essentially you have like a title, a description, or maybe you'll have like a description of the program itself. You asked for the name and the email, and then any sort of related or relevant details about the advocate or about the nominee. And then you would take that information and you would invite them into the program yourself. Okay. So that's sort of internal nominations. That's where to find them, how to manage them. The next thing, we have a couple Influitive solutions as well. So first of all, we have Advocate Anywhere, and then we all have Maven. So that's our mobile app, Maven. Advocate Anywhere is the embeddable widget that you can put on any website that your company has control over. So let's say your company blog or your main company website or anything like that. So what you can do is create a challenge in AdvocateHub. You can target it. Let me show you that. So this is what it looks like in the targeting when you're building the challenge out in the application. And then you can write this challenge. What you want to do here is you want to make sure that the challenge, because these challenges will be seen by current advocates and they have the option of being shown to non-advocates, people who have not signed up to the program yet, you want to make sure that they cater to both audiences. So what you can really say is, hey, like, so what you're really doing here is you are asking people, hey, do you want to join, or do you know someone who would like to join? So you're either getting advocate referrals from your advocates already, or you're getting new people who don't know about the program to self-select and sign and say, yes, I want to participate. And completing either of these challenges, Advocate Anywhere or Maven, would put them into your nominees list. Okay, so targeting. And then you can do the same thing right in your AdvocateHub. So if you want to just direct a challenge right to your advocates and say something like, hey, we know that you're in this program, you're having a good time. Do you know anyone who would like to also participate in this? And then they can just, it would be like a survey challenge essentially, where you're people for the contact information of someone who might be interested in joining your advocate program. Odds are if they're using your product, let's say at work, maybe their colleagues are using it too, and maybe they're talking about their great experience. And so maybe those other colleagues would love to be a part of your program as well. So always keep in mind that your advocates are a great route to more advocates. Okay, now we're going to talk about invitations. Okay, so you found them. Now what are you going to do? How are you invite them into the program? So the first thing you want to keep in mind when you're writing your invitation is that you want them to be high quality inviting. You really want to make sure that your communications are really selling how great your, what your program is all about, that you makes it look like you want to be a part of. So whether that's just like really exciting copy, really high quality graphics, or maybe something else special, maybe you're going to sign up and you'll get a perk, or maybe anything that you could really imagine, you always want to make sure that when you're inviting someone, it's a high quality experience from the very beginning, that you're really selling those. Because what you need to keep in mind is that odds are these people, depending where they're coming from, they probably don't know that much about the program and how it works. You really want to sell it as, you really want to convince them to join. I mean, you're in a good spot here because if these people are being referred by someone internally, they probably already know a little bit about the program from that person. Maybe not though. But you really want to make sure that you're explaining what the program is and how it's going to benefit them. So that's a really key thing, is that you're all going to be explaining to your team, either to your team or nominees or potential nominees, potential advocates, what are they going to get out of the program? Why do you want to join? What does it offer them? Whether it's networking opportunities, the opportunity to help other people, the opportunity to learn more, simply the opportunity to get sort of the inside scoop on your company or your product. You always want to make sure you're positioning the ask in terms of the benefit to the person you're asking from. Yeah, so there's a few different methods. Email is a great one. I mean, it's the 21st century. Email is pretty standard, and email is nice because you can use some really cool graphics, and depending on how you do it, let's say we recommend you would use like an external email service. So say you're working with like Acton or Eloqua or something like that, you would use one of those services. And that way you sort of have more control over the visual appeal of the email. So with that, depending on how you set it up, depending how you've set it up, you might even be able to send the invitation from the name coming from the person who they already have a relationship with. So really, email can be powerful because you're able to be a little bit more personal, and you're able to provide so that you can really craft like a really high quality looking experience. Depending how many people you're inviting, personal outreach is a really great way to do this. Whether, maybe you have the relationship owner reach out and say, hey, expect someone from my marketing team to reach out to you to invite you to this program, and then you send them your fancy, please join our special program email. That's a really successful approach. Even calling someone on the phone, it's a very intense way to do it, simply because it's so much time in your day to reach out on the phone. So I mean, if you're inviting a lot of people, it's not really going to work. But if you're inviting just a small number of people, then speaking to them on the phone, really having that personal connection is a great way to get people to actually agree to sign up and join the program. One thing that we've been trying with a few people at Influitive is sending out a direct mail piece. So what we would do is send an email saying, hey, we're going to send you an invitation to this great program. Then follow that up with a direct mail piece, like a little card, explaining the program, inviting them to join, and then follow that up a couple days later with another email saying, hey, did you get our message? Are you interested in signing up? So that has had some quite good success because, I mean, direct mail, the downside there is it's quite pricey, but it does make a strong impact, and it really makes a strong statement about the level of care that you're putting into the program. So if that's possible, we definitely recommend it. Another great thing is video messaging. You could send an email that has a video that has a direct message coming from your CEO or another high-level person at your company, or maybe someone that is sort of visible within the company. If you have someone that a lot of the customers know, if you put them into a video. Video messaging is a lot more personal. It's a little bit more fun. So that's a great way to entice someone and to really create a great invitation. The last thing we have here is a direct message. Sending direct messages through social media often can be successful. So for example, we know of someone who went to their LinkedIn group, their company LinkedIn group, and sent out a direct message to everyone in the group with a join code saying, hey, welcome, like, check out this cool exclusive program. If you're interested in signing up, here is a join code, like the URL. They get clicked, and then that would allow them into the program as well. You could do the same thing with Twitter, depending who you're inviting. If you're trying to reach out to people who are active on a social media, then a lot of times it makes sense to reach out to them on that social media platform as well. Okay. So the last thing I have here, there was quite a good discussion in the Influitive forums last week, and actually I think some of you were participating in it. I have to say thank you to all of you because it was great. So I have the link here for that as well. So if you're interested in learning more or sharing more ideas with other people who have sent out invitations or discussing best practices, the Influitive forums is a really good place to do that. So that more or less wraps it up. It's now question time. So we got a couple questions in advance, and one of the questions, so I'll start with there, and if you guys want to think of questions sort of on the way, that's fine. You can just type them in the chat box. So one of the questions that we were sent was, how do I get internal buy-in? So we talked about this a bit at the beginning, but essentially it's all about them. So if you want your team to participate, we really need to understand what the benefit is to them, or even in a broader sense, what the benefit of this type of program is to the company at large. So we really recommend that you have team collaboration because, I mean, when you're asking, sometimes within companies people can be, what you're asking them essentially for is contact information of people they have a relationship with. And there can be a tendency for them to be a little bit worried or hesitant to give that information out to someone else. So by sort of alleviating any pushback, by making it clear and having buy-in, it's a good way to get people to actually participate and share that information with you. So making sure that they understand that this is like a team-wide collaboration and that there are benefits involved for them as well. So another question we were sent, how do I keep up my team's momentum? So this is really asking, like, once my team learns about this idea, once I start asking them, hey, will you participate in this? Will you recommend people to join the program? How do I make sure that they don't sort of forget and it sort of tapers off and dies? And it's a great question. There's a few things that we recommend. One thing that you might want to consider is either setting up like a company-wide working group or at least establishing a point person for advocate marketing in each department. So let's say maybe in sales, maybe on the E-team, customer support, customer success, wherever, that you have a person in each department who is sort of your go-to guy for the person that you're going to talk to about advocate marketing, and they're really going to represent your concerns and really represent the concept of advocate marketing in that department and really make sure that their team is participating to the best of their ability. Another thing that you could do is just, again, circulating an internal newsletter about the programs, showcasing the success. If you can get your employees or your colleagues to participate in the AdvocateHub, to have employee accounts, then that's a great way to motivate them as well. I mean, if they see the program and how it works, and that's a good way to get buy-in. And it's a good way to sort of constantly keep up that communication. Then they can be earning points, they can get prizes, that type of thing. And as I mentioned before, an internal competition. That has spurred a lot of activity for a lot of our customers, and that's been really successful. Okay, those are the only two questions I got in advance. I don't see any questions here in the chat. Yeah, so I guess that's it for today. Thank you all for joining. I'll be sending out a recording of this class along with the slides and a bunch of other resources for you guys to check out this week. And this is all going to be posted in the Influitive forums as well. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. You guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Please stand by.